He was a wealthy man, powerful, untouchable, with a mansion that gleamed like a palace in the night. Everything in his life was controlled, measured, and perfect, or so he thought. His rules were clear: no secrets, no surprises, no exceptions. But that night, a secret was already hiding under his roof, one that would shake everything he believed in. Rosa, the loyal maid, had a companion she could never leave behind: her dog, Bruno. He had been with her through lonely nights, through struggles she never shared, through every moment when life seemed cruel. But the mansion had strict rules, and bringing a pet inside, unthinkable. Yet desperation pushed her. She wrapped Bruno in a blanket, whispered, "Stay quiet, my boy," and carried him into the mansion. She thought it would be harmless. She thought no one would notice. But fate had other plans. That night, the billionaire's son, Samuel, discovered Bruno first. A boy surrounded by luxury but starved for friendship. He found a companion who would change everything. What started as a hidden secret would soon become a lifeline and a miracle. But before we dive deeper, tell me, from which city are you watching this? The mansion of Mr. Harrington was a fortress of luxury, standing tall on the hill with iron gates that gleamed in the sunlight. Inside, the floors were polished marble, the walls adorned with priceless paintings, and the chandeliers sparkled as if they held captured stars. To anyone visiting, it was perfection, a symbol of wealth and control. But perfection has its shadows, and in those shadows, secrets often hide. Rosa moved through the halls silently, her steps measured, her eyes attentive to every detail. She had worked in the mansion for years, carrying out her duties with quiet diligence. She cleaned, polished, organized, and served with care, always careful not to disturb the strict order Mr. Harrington demanded. Rosa knew the rules. The mansion was not a place for mistakes, not a place for disobedience, and certainly not a place for surprises. Yet Rosa had a secret, one she could not ignore. Her dog, Bruno, had been her companion through thick and thin. A loyal, brown-eyed creature, he had seen her through nights of solitude, comforted her when tears came in secret, and shared with her a bond deeper than friendship. Bruno was family, and Rosa had no one else to care for him during the long days she spent in the mansion. The decision was made quietly, almost instinctively. That morning, Rosa wrapped Bruno in an old blanket, whispered, "Stay quiet, my boy, just today," and carried him through the back gate into the mansion. Her heart pounded in her chest. She knew she was risking everything. If Mr. Harrington discovered Bruno, there would be consequences, severe ones. Inside, the mansion felt colder than usual that morning. The servants moved like shadows, and the air carried the faint smell of polished wood and expensive perfumes. Rosa led Bruno carefully through the hallways, keeping him hidden beneath the folds of her uniform and under her arms. The dog's eyes shone with curiosity, sniffing every corner, every marble step, but Rosa hushed him gently with a finger pressed to his nose. Meanwhile, in the master's wing, young Samuel Harrington wandered the halls alone, 10 years old, surrounded by unimaginable wealth yet starved for companionship. The boy drifted through the rooms like a ghost. His father's attention was elsewhere, and the mansion's staff treated him with polite distance. Samuel longed for connection, for someone to share his days with, for warmth beyond the cold luxury of the estate. And then, he found Bruno. It happened in the music room, a large hall filled with instruments that gleamed under the morning sun. Samuel had been tracing the keys of a grand piano, humming softly to himself when he spotted a movement beneath the velvet curtains. His eyes widened. There, peeking out with cautious curiosity, was Bruno. The dog tilted his head, sniffed the air, and wagged his tail slowly. Samuel knelt down, extending a hand. "Hello," he whispered. "Who are you?" Bruno responded with a soft whine, approaching cautiously, then nudging his nose into Samuel's hand. The connection was instant. In that moment, Samuel felt something he had never felt before in the grand, silent halls of the mansion: friendship, trust, and a sense of joy. Rosa, watching from a distance, felt a mixture of relief and anxiety. The secret she carried was no longer hers alone. She had brought Bruno into the mansion to save him from loneliness, yet the boy had found him first. She prayed silently that this unexpected bond would not lead to trouble. Over the following days, the friendship between Samuel and Bruno grew. The boy would sneak away from his father's watchful eyes to play with the dog, to share stories of his day, and to laugh freely. something he rarely did when alone. Bruno followed him everywhere, through the hallways, under the grand staircase, and even into the gardens where the marble fountains sparkled under the sun. The dog's presence brought light into Samuel's days. He no longer wandered aimlessly, no longer sat quietly in the corners of his room. He had a companion who made him feel alive, someone who understood him without words, someone who accepted him completely. Rosa continued her duties with meticulous care, cleaning and organizing, all while keeping a watchful eye on Bruno and Samuel. Each moment was a delicate balance, a dance of secrecy. Every noise, every shadow, every unexpected visitor posed a risk. Rosa's heart raced constantly, knowing that discovery could come at any time, and yet she could not regret her decision. Watching Samuel laugh with Bruno, seeing the boy's eyes light up with genuine happiness, made every risk worthwhile. In that mansion of wealth and control, Rosa had created a small world of freedom, joy, and trust hidden in plain sight. As days turned into weeks, the bond deepened. Bruno became not just a pet, but a guardian, a friend, and a confidant. Samuel confided his fears, his dreams, and his moments of sadness to the little dog who listened without judgment. Rosa watched quietly, a mixture of pride and fear in her heart, knowing that every moment could be their last if Mr. Harrington discovered the secret they all shared. And in the shadows of the mansion, where silence had once ruled, a new life began to bloom, a life of unexpected friendship, loyalty, and love, born from a secret that could either destroy them or save them in ways they could never imagine. The mansion, once perfectly quiet under Mr. Harrington's control, began to feel different. Something was off. Floors creaked in places they shouldn't. Small objects moved. Crumbs appeared where no meals had been served. At first he dismissed it. Perhaps the staff was careless. Perhaps it was his imagination. But over time the billionaire's instincts sharpened. He had built an empire on attention to detail, and nothing escaped him for long. One morning he noticed his son's shoes coated with dirt. "Samuel," he asked casually, though his eyes narrowed, "have you been wandering in the gardens?" I was just exploring," Samuel mumbled, hoping his father wouldn't look too closely. He wasn't lying. Bruno had led him through hidden paths of the estate, but he didn't reveal the full truth. Mr. Harrington's sharp gaze lingered longer than usual. Something felt amiss. The boy's mischief was plausible, but the precision of the dirt trails, the tiny paw prints along the marble floors, suggested a presence no child alone could account for. Meanwhile, Rosa moved with heightened awareness. Every day, she became more vigilant, scanning the corridors for anyone who might see Bruno. The dog had learned to stay hidden, ducking beneath furniture, curling behind curtains, and holding still whenever a guest or staff member approached. Yet, despite all precautions, incidents began to happen. A lunch tray went missing. Leftovers Rosa had carefully disposed of vanished from the kitchen counter. The chef complained to Mr. Harrington, muttering about rats or careless servants. Rosa's heart raced. Bruno had been nipping at scraps when the staff wasn't watching. Later, while polishing the grand staircase, Rosa heard faint scratching noises behind the linen closet door. She froze, her mind racing. Could someone have discovered Bruno's hiding place? She held her breath, gripping the duster like a shield. The noise stopped, leaving only the echo of her heartbeat. Samuel, oblivious to the growing danger, grew bolder in his play. He began sneaking Bruno into forbidden parts of the mansion. The library filled with ancient books, the music room with its polished piano, even near his father's private study. "He's careful," Samuel whispered one evening, giggling as Bruno tiptoed behind him. "He won't get caught." Rosa shook her head, panic clawing at her chest. "Careful, Samuel. If your father finds him here..." Her words trailed off, the thought of punishment too frightening to voice. The billionaire's suspicions, however, continued to mount. He noticed subtle changes in the house, a slight movement in the corner of a room, a missing piece of fruit from the dining table, soft paw prints on polished floors. He called the staff together more frequently, questioning, observing, scrutinizing every corner of the mansion. "Has anyone seen anything unusual?" he demanded during one inspection, his voice sharp and demanding. "Food disappearing, noises at night, footprints in odd places. This is not acceptable." The staff exchanged uneasy glances. Rosa kept her head low, palms damp, forcing calm into her trembling body. She answered as politely as she could. "No, sir. Nothing unusual, sir." But Mr. Harrington's eyes were sharper than ever. He had been alone too long in a world where every detail mattered. and he noticed even the smallest irregularities. The faint sound of Bruno's soft whine or the rustle of his tail under furniture became impossible to ignore. One evening, Samuel tried to hide Bruno in the attic, a place rarely visited. The boy whispered, "No one will find you here. Stay quiet, Bruno." But the mansion's old floorboards creaked under their weight, sending vibrations through the house. Rosa, hearing the noise, rushed to the attic to guide them both down safely. "Samuel, we have to be more careful," she said, worry etched into every line of her face. "One mistake and your father will discover him." Samuel nodded, eyes wide. "I know, Rosa. I can't help it. I like him too much." Rosa sighed, realizing the bond between boy and dog had grown stronger than any fear of discovery. She could see the joy Bruno brought to Samuel, the laughter that echoed through the mansion, the sparkle in his eyes that no toy or game had ever given him. But danger, silent and patient, was closing in. Mr. Harrington's instincts told him that the mansion's perfect order was being violated. The precision of his empire, the smooth rhythm of his household, had been interrupted. Something or someone was hiding in the shadows, and he would find it. It was only a matter of time before the truth revealed itself. The Harrington mansion was alive with music and laughter. Mr. Harrington was hosting a grand gala, inviting the city's elite to admire his wealth, mingle with influencers, and discuss business deals. Chandeliers sparkled like captured stars. The floors gleamed under polished shoes, and every room smelled of fine perfume and fresh flowers. But amidst all this elegance, danger was lurking quietly in the shadows. Rosa moved through the corridors, her tray of refreshment steady, eyes scanning constantly. The mansion was crowded tonight, every hall teeming with guests she did not recognize. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of laughter, every clink of glasses could spell disaster. She kept Bruno hidden beneath her coat, trying to keep the dog calm while maneuvering through the throngs of people. Samuel had insisted on keeping Bruno close. "Please, Rosa," he begged, his small hand gripping hers. "He'll be lonely in the servant quarters. Just tonight, let him stay with me." Rosa hesitated. The gala meant strangers everywhere, unpredictable movements, and a single misstep could reveal Bruno's presence. But Samuel's pleading eyes melted her resolve. "Fine," she whispered, "but one wrong move and we're done for." The boy led Bruno through the mansion's upper floors, where the gala was far less chaotic. They tiptoed past rooms filled with guests, through hallways lined with priceless art. Bruno's ears twitched at every sound, his tail tucked nervously beneath him. Yet despite the danger, he walked with confidence beside Samuel, guided by the boy's hand and voice. Everything was going smoothly, until an unexpected visitor wandered upstairs. A guest, tipsy and curious, opened the door to Samuel's temporary hideout, a small study near the library. The moment the door creaked, Bruno froze, ears perked, eyes wide. The guest gasped softly. "Oh, a dog?" Rosa's heart slammed against her ribs. She stepped forward, forcing a calm smile. "Yes, just the boy's friend," she said hurriedly, guiding the woman back toward the hallway. But the incident had already drawn attention. Whispers carried down the corridors, and Mr. Harrington, sharp and observant as ever, noticed the unusual movements. He raised an eyebrow, his suspicion arousing. Something unusual had happened in his mansion tonight, and he intended to find out what. Rosa's anxiety grew with every passing moment. She could feel the mansion closing in around her. The music, the laughter, and the glittering crowd became a blur as she focused entirely on Samuel and Bruno. Every step was calculated, every shadow a potential threat. Meanwhile, Samuel and Bruno had grown bolder. Samuel whispered to the dog, "We're okay. Just follow me." Bruno obeyed, weaving silently through the upper hallways, avoiding guests, guards, and servants. But even with careful planning, the risks were multiplying. Later, when the gala had reached its peak, Mr. Harrington's suspicions escalated. He noticed crumbs on the floor near the library door, soft paw prints in the hallway outside Samuel's temporary hideout. The careful pattern of the house had been disrupted, and he would not ignore it. Rosa realized that it was no longer a matter of being careful. It was a matter of survival. One mistake, one misstep, and the secret she had worked so hard to protect, Bruno, would be discovered. Samuel, blissfully unaware of the looming threat, continued to play quietly, brushing his fingers along Bruno's fur, laughing softly. The tension reached a peak when the music suddenly stopped for a moment. A guest tripped on the polished stairs, causing a minor commotion. Everyone turned toward the noise, and for an instant, Samuel and Bruno were exposed in the open hallway. Rosa dashed forward, pulling Samuel and the dog behind a curtain, hearts pounding. Mr. Harrington, observing from below, narrowed his eyes. "Something isn't right," he muttered, his voice carrying through the halls like a warning. That night, as the gala concluded, Rosa guided Samuel and Bruno safely back to their quarters. Yet she could not shake the feeling that the danger was only beginning. The mansion seemed quieter, more threatening, as if it were holding its breath. Every shadow, every creak, every whisper of wind through the hallways became an omen. Samuel, exhausted but exhilarated, hugged Bruno tightly. "We made it," he whispered. "We're safe, for now." Rosa sighed, relief and dread mingling in her chest. "For now," she echoed, knowing that the mansion's walls were closing in, that Mr. Harrington's suspicion was growing, and that the secret she had protected so carefully could be revealed at any moment. And in the darkness of the mansion, the shadows waited patiently, preparing for the moment when the secret could no longer hide. A moment that would change everything. A storm that would bring danger, fear, and the ultimate test of courage. Because soon, Rosa, Samuel, and Bruno would face a peril that no planning, no hiding could prevent. A fire, a disaster that would force the mansion to reveal all its hidden truths, and a hero to rise where it was least expected. Block 05, Climax, Incendie na Mansão. It started with a faint smell of smoke, barely noticeable at first. Rosa, wiping the polished floors of the east wing, froze. Her heart skipped a beat. Smoke curling from the kitchen reached her nose, and a flicker of orange light danced on the walls. Panic surged through her veins. Fires in a mansion like this could spread faster than anyone imagined. She ran toward the source, only to see flames licking the edges of the curtains, hungrily consuming the polished wood and expensive furnishings. "Samuel!" Rosa screamed, her voice shaking as she raced up the stairs. "Wake up, get out now." The boy stirred groggily, coughing as the smoke thickened around him. His room, high in the mansion, was surrounded by hallways filled with the growing fire. The stairwells were quickly becoming impassable. Samuel's eyes widened in terror, the smoke stinging his lungs, his small body trembling. Then Bruno sprang into action. His ears perked, and his eyes locked onto Samuel. The dog's bark cut through the haze, sharp and commanding. Samuel blinked, recognizing his loyal companion amidst the chaos. "Bruno, help me!" he cried, choking on smoke. Bruno didn't hesitate. He darted forward, nudging Samuel, guiding him toward the safest path through the burning corridors. Every step was perilous. Flames cracked and roared around them, the heat pressing in. Yet Bruno seemed to know instinctively where to go, maneuvering through smoke and fire with courage that belied his small size. Rosa followed closely, her hands gripping Samuel's arms, dragging him forward when the boy stumbled. Each second counted. Smoke filled their lungs, forcing tears from their eyes. The mansion, once a symbol of control and elegance, had become a maze of danger. They reached the grand staircase, the flames roaring higher, licking at the walls, threatening to trap them. Samuel slipped, coughing violently, and Rosa's heart nearly stopped. But Bruno pressed against the boy, grounding him, nudging him upward, urging him to keep moving. Finally, they burst through the back door into the cool night air. Smoke and ash filled the sky, the mansion behind them a roaring inferno. Samuel collapsed onto the lawn, gasping, his small body trembling. Rosa held him tightly, relief and fear intermingling. And then she looked down at Bruno. The dog, panting heavily, fur singed slightly at the edges, wagged his tail as if nothing had happened. Samuel, tears streaking his soot-covered face, hugged Bruno with all his strength. You saved me," he whispered, voice trembling. "You're my hero." Rosa finally exhaled, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Yes," she said. "He is a hero, Samuel. A real hero." From inside, Mr. Harrington had arrived, alerted by the chaos and the alarms of his staff. He stood at the back entrance, his eyes wide at the sight. Flames consuming the mansion, smoke billowing into the night sky, and his only son clinging to a small, brave dog. For the first time that night, anger faltered in his chest. He saw the fear in Samuel's eyes, the courage in Bruno's small frame, and a realization struck him. Wealth, control, and rules meant nothing in the face of life itself. He stepped closer, voice low but trembling. "Rosa, you brought him in?" "Yes, sir." Rosa admitted, voice shaking. I couldn't leave him behind. I only wanted to protect Samuel. Mr. Harrington's gaze shifted between the boy and the dog. The mansion, his symbol of power and precision, burned behind them, yet in front of him stood the truth he could not deny. A small dog, hidden in secret, had saved his son's life. You saved my son, he said quietly. Anger, suspicion, and authority melted into something else. Gratitude, respect, and awe. Samuel, exhausted and shivering, looked up at his father. Bruno, he saved me, Dad. Mr. Harrington knelt beside them, placing a careful hand on Samuel's shoulder. He looked down at Bruno, eyes filled with a mixture of wonder and realization. It seems some rules are meant to be broken, he murmured. Rosa, still holding Samuel close, felt a wave of relief and hope. The secret she had guarded so fiercely, the dog she had hidden, the friendship she had nurtured, was no longer a liability. Bruno had proven himself, and in doing so, had earned a place not just in the mansion, but in the hearts of everyone inside it. The fire trucks arrived shortly after, battling the blaze that consumed much of the east wing. Guests were ushered away safely, and the mansion's grandeur was partially lost to flames, smoke, and water. But none of that mattered. Samuel was safe. Bruno was safe. And in the midst of devastation, a bond had been forged stronger than wealth, stronger than fear, stronger than the mansion itself. That night, under the dark sky illuminated by the flickering glow of the fire, Samuel hugged Bruno tighter than ever. Rosa stood nearby, exhausted but relieved, watching the small dog who had become a hero. Mr. Harrington remained silent for a long moment, absorbing the lesson that no control, no wealth, no rule could replace courage, loyalty, and love. Sometimes, Rosa realized, the smallest creatures carry the greatest hearts, and sometimes, the secrets we hide, born from fear, can become the very things that save everything. The fire had died down, leaving the mansion scarred but Samuel and Bruno safe. Smoke still hung in the air, mingling with the acrid smell of charred wood and melted wax. Rosa helped Samuel sit on a sofa near the back of the house, brushing the soot from his clothes, when she heard the heavy footsteps approach. Mr. Harrington entered the room, eyes blazing. His suit was smudged with ash, and his usually composed demeanor trembled with a mixture of shock and fury. He surveyed the scene, the burnt edges of the furniture, the disarray of the room, and most importantly, the small dog lying at Samuel's feet. Rosa, he said sharply, voice cutting through the haze. Explain this. Rosa's heart pounded violently in her chest. She had known this moment would come, but nothing could have prepared her for the intensity of his gaze. She swallowed hard, trying to steady her voice. Sir, you what? Mr. Harrington demanded, stepping closer. You brought this dog into my house? Into my son's quarters? Without my permission? Yes, sir, Rosa admitted, holding her head high despite her fear. I brought him here because I couldn't leave him alone. He's been with me through everything, and I only wanted to keep him safe. I never intended. Mr. Harrington's voice rose, echoing through the charred hallways. Do you understand what you've done? This could have destroyed everything, my house, my property, my son. Do you have any idea how reckless that was? Rosa felt the sting of his words, but she refused to shrink. I understand, sir. I truly do. But Samuel is safe. And Bruno, he saved him. If it weren't for him, Mr. Harrington's eyes narrowed. He turned to glance at Samuel, who clutched Bruno tightly, eyes wide and trembling. The boy's silence spoke louder than any words could. Harrington's chest heaved, torn between rage and the undeniable truth staring him in the face. You're telling me that this dog saved my son? He asked, his voice a mixture of incredulity and awe. Rosa nodded, her voice steady despite the fear in her chest. Yes, sir, he did. And Samuel loves him. Please understand, I never meant to defy you. I only wanted to protect them both. For a long moment, Mr. Harrington stood in silence, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. He could see the soot-streaked boy, the exhausted but loyal dog, and the unwavering courage in Rosa's eyes. He wanted to be angry, truly angry, but the reality was undeniable. This is unacceptable, he finally said, his voice softening slightly, though still stern. Rules exist for a reason. You cannot simply break them, Rosa. You risked everything. My property, my reputation, my son's safety. And yet, Rosa interrupted gently, without Bruno, Samuel might not be alive right now. Harrington's gaze shifted from her to the dog, and for the first time he saw more than a pet. He saw a hero, a guardian, and a small creature whose courage had surpassed his expectations. His anger, though still present, began to mingle with a grudging respect. You disobeyed me," he said finally, his voice low and controlled. "And you did it for the right reason. I do not know whether to punish you or thank you." Rosa lowered her eyes, waiting for his final judgment. Samuel clung to Bruno, sensing the tension between the two adults. The mansion, scarred by fire and fear, held its breath as the moment hung in delicate balance. Mr. Harrington's gaze lingered on the dog once more, and slowly, his shoulders relaxed slightly. "One day," he muttered, "you'll learn that some rules are absolute, but others, perhaps they were meant to be broken." Rosa exhaled quietly, hope flickering in her chest. The confrontation had happened, the secret was revealed, and yet Bruno had not only survived but had begun to shift something deep inside the millionaire, a lesson in courage, loyalty, and unexpected heroism. The mansion was quiet now, the echoes of panic and smoke fading into memory. Samuel sat on the sofa, Bruno nestled beside him, still trembling slightly from the ordeal. Rosa stood nearby, exhausted but vigilant, watching the millionaire process everything that had just happened. Mr. Harrington remained silent for a long moment, his eyes fixed on Bruno. The small dog, covered in soot but still alert, wagged his tail cautiously, sensing the shift in the man's demeanor. Harrington's hands, usually steady and commanding, fidgeted slightly as he absorbed the truth. This little creature had saved his son. He knelt slowly beside Samuel, placing a hand gently on the boy's shoulder. "Samuel," he began, voice softening. "Is that your dog?" Samuel shook his head, unsure how to respond. "No, sir. Rosa brought him. He saved me, Dad." Harrington's gaze shifted from the boy to Rosa. She stood tall, calm despite the exhaustion etched into her features, her loyalty and courage clear for all to see. He remembered the way she had carried Bruno into the mansion, hidden from his scrutiny, driven purely by concern for Samuel. "I see," Harrington said quietly, a mixture of awe and disbelief in his tone. "So this dog risked everything to save my son." "Yes, sir," Rosa confirmed, "and he did it without hesitation. He only acted to protect Samuel." Harrington exhaled, the first true sign of relief and reflection crossing his features. For the first time in years, he saw beyond rules, beyond wealth, beyond control. He realized that courage and loyalty could not be measured by status, nor confined by authority. Some acts of bravery came from the most unexpected places. He turned his gaze back to Bruno, kneeling lower to be level with the small hero. "You saved him, didn't you?" he said, voice trembling slightly. Bruno wagged his tail, pressing gently against Samuel. Harrington smiled faintly, a rare and genuine expression, and reached out to pat the dog's head. Turning to Rosa, he spoke with a new tone, less authority, more understanding. "Rosa, I underestimated you. I see now that you acted out of loyalty, courage, and love. I was wrong to think rules alone could define right and wrong." Rosa blinked, emotions welling up in her chest. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. "I only wanted to protect them both." Harrington nodded, taking a deep breath. "And for that you have my respect. You and this brave little dog have reminded me of something important. True loyalty and courage are not bound by rank, wealth, or rule. They come from the heart." Samuel, observing his father's softened expression, smiled faintly. "Does that mean Bruno can stay?" he asked timidly. Harrington chuckled softly, a sound unfamiliar yet comforting in the quiet mansion. "Yes, Samuel, Bruno can stay, and so can Rosa. From now on, consider her not just an employee, but someone I trust, someone who has proven her courage and loyalty." The atmosphere shifted instantly. The tension that had gripped the mansion for weeks melted away. Rosa exhaled, relief flooding through her. Samuel hugged Bruno tightly, tears of joy glimmering in his eyes. For Mr. Harrington, the incident became a turning point. He realized that control and wealth meant little without love, trust, and recognition of true courage. Rules could be broken, yes, but sometimes breaking them led to the most meaningful lessons. That night, as the mansion settled under the quiet hum of the cooling night air, a small family emerged. Samuel, Rosa, and Bruno, connected not by status, but by loyalty, bravery, and the undeniable bond of love. And for Mr. Harrington, a new understanding blossomed, a lesson etched not in gold or marble, but in courage, gratitude, and the heart of a small, heroic dog. Oh, yeah, the aftermath of the fire left the mansion scarred but not broken. Samuel and Mr. Harrington spent the following days together, exploring the quiet corners of the estate that had once felt so distant. The boy's laughter, once rare and fleeting, now filled the halls. For the first time, Mr. Harrington saw his son not as a fragile child under his protection, but as a brave and curious young boy, capable of understanding courage and loyalty. Each moment spent together deepened their connection, built not from wealth or authority, but from shared experiences, trust, and relief that Samuel was safe. Bruno became the bridge between father and son. The small dog, whose loyalty had saved Samuel's life, was now the constant companion on their walks through the gardens, the quiet evenings in the library, and the playful mornings near the fountains. Every time Samuel laughed and called Bruno's name, Mr. Harrington's heart softened. He began to notice the joy that simple companionship could bring, a joy he had long forgotten amidst his empire of control and rules. Rosa, meanwhile, no longer moved through the mansion in the shadows. Her presence was acknowledged, appreciated, and cherished. Mr. Harrington made a point to include her in conversations, to ask for her opinions, and to show that her loyalty and courage had earned her a permanent place in the household. "Rosa," he said one afternoon as they watched Samuel play with Bruno near the fountain, "you have proven yourself beyond your duties. You are part of this family now." Rosa's eyes glistened with emotion. "Thank you, sir," she whispered, bowing her head slightly. "I only wanted to care for Samuel and protect him." Mr. Harrington smiled faintly, a rare warmth crossing his usually stern features. "And you did. I see that now. You've taught me a lesson about courage, loyalty, and love that I will never forget." Samuel ran up to them, Bruno bounding at his heels. "Dad," he said excitedly, "Bruno saved me, and Rosa helped him. Isn't that amazing?" "Mr." Harrington knelt down, placing a hand on Samuel's shoulder. "Yes, son. It's more than amazing, it's heroic. And thanks to both of them, we've all learned something important." The mansion, once a place of strict rules and formal distance, began to feel alive with warmth. Laughter echoed through the halls, meals were shared with genuine conversation, and small moments, once unnoticed, became treasured memories. Samuel's bond with his father grew stronger each day, strengthened by the experiences they had shared and the lessons Bruno had silently taught them all. Rosa watched quietly, content, knowing that her efforts, her risks, and her courage had forged a place for her in this household, not as a servant alone, but as a guardian, a friend, and a cherished member of the family. And Bruno, the little dog who had once been hidden in fear and secrecy, now walked freely, his head held high, proud of the loyalty he had shown. He had become more than a pet. He was a hero, a symbol of love and courage, and a bond that tied this unconventional family together. In the days that followed, the mansion echoed with a new kind of music, the sound of connection, trust, and love. Samuel's laughter, Mr. Harrington's newfound warmth, Rosa's quiet pride, and Bruno's happy barks intertwined, creating a harmony that no fire, no rules, and no wealth could ever replicate. The mansion was no longer just a symbol of power, it was a home. And the mansion, once scorched and scarred by flames, was slowly returning to life. Workers moved carefully through the halls, repairing walls, replacing furniture, and restoring the grandeur that had been momentarily lost. Yet, despite the opulence returning, a new warmth lingered in the air, one that no luxury could provide. Samuel bounded through the freshly polished halls, Bruno at his side, ears perked and tail wagging. The bond between the boy and his heroic dog had deepened beyond words. They were inseparable now, companions in every adventure, every quiet moment, and every playful exploration of the estate. Even Mr. Harrington, once so focused on order and control, found himself smiling at their antics, laughter echoing through the restored rooms. Rosa moved among them, no longer just a caretaker or servant, but a cherished member of the household. She joined Samuel and Bruno on walks through the gardens, helped with lessons, and shared in quiet evenings by the fireplace. Her courage, loyalty, and selflessness had earned her a permanent place in this family, one built not on wealth or rules, but on trust and love. One afternoon, Mr. Harrington called them all to the newly restored terrace, overlooking the gardens that now bloomed more vibrantly than before. He looked at Samuel, then at Rosa, and finally at Bruno. "These past weeks," he began, voice steady and thoughtful, "have taught me something I should have known long ago. True courage is not measured by wealth, by power, or by control. It is measured by the heart, the loyalty you show, the risks you take for those you love." Samuel grinned, hugging Bruno tightly. "And Bruno has the biggest heart ever," he exclaimed. Rosa smiled, warmth in her chest. "Yes, he does. And sometimes courage comes from the smallest creatures." Mr. Harrington nodded, gazing over the gardens. "This mansion is restored, yes, but what matters more is the bond we've formed. A bond built on trust, love, and courage. Rules may guide us, wealth may sustain us, but loyalty and care, these are what make a family truly strong." Bruno barked softly, as if agreeing, and Samuel laughed, nuzzling the dog. In that moment, the millionaire realized that the fire had not just destroyed parts of the mansion, it had revealed what truly mattered. A small act of bravery, a loyal heart, and unwavering love had changed everything. Life in the mansion settled into a new rhythm. Samuel and Bruno explored every corner together. Rosa ensured the household ran smoothly while being a friend and guide, and Mr. Harrington participated more fully in his son's life, no longer a distant figure of authority, but a present and caring father. The mansion, though rebuilt with marble and gold, now carried a deeper value, memories of courage, loyalty, and love that no fire could erase. Every room held the lessons learned from a small dog who dared to act, from a servant who risked everything to protect, and from a boy who inspired those around him to see what really matters. And in this home, Samuel and Bruno became symbols of what it means to love fiercely, act bravely, and cherish loyalty above all else. Rosa's presence reminded them that family is not just blood or title, but trust, courage, and the willingness to stand by each other in moments of fear and danger. As the sun set over the gardens, casting golden light across the restored mansion, Mr. Harrington watched Samuel and Bruno play, a smile touching his lips. He understood finally that true wealth was not in treasures or walls, but in hearts united by courage, loyalty, and love. And so life continued, not perfectly perhaps, but with meaning, with joy, and with the knowledge that some of the most important lessons come from the bravest hearts, no matter how small. And so, the story of courage, loyalty, and unexpected heroes comes to an end, but its lessons stay with us. Samuel and Bruno, inseparable companions, remind us that bravery doesn't always come from strength or size. Rosa's selfless actions show us that loyalty and love can change even the hardest hearts. And Mr. Harrington's transformation proves that understanding and gratitude can arise in the most unexpected ways. But this story isn't just about them. It's about all of us. We all face challenges, small or great, and the choices we make can have consequences far beyond what we imagine. Sometimes it's the quiet, courageous actions, like hiding a dog to protect a child, that leave the biggest mark on the world. Now I'd love to hear from you. If you were in Rosa's shoes, would you have risked everything to protect Bruno and Samuel? Or if you were in Mr. Harrington's position, how would you have reacted upon discovering the secret? Take a moment and share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and your perspective could inspire someone else to see courage, loyalty, and love in a new light. If this story moved you, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps support the channel and allows us to bring more amazing, heartwarming, and thrilling stories like this directly to you. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of adventure, emotion, and lessons from the animal and human world alike. Sharing this video can also help someone else experience this incredible story. Maybe you know a friend or family member who loves tales of courage and heroism, or perhaps someone who needs a reminder about the power of loyalty and love. Click share and spread the inspiration. It might just make someone's day. And here's a little interactive twist. I want to know where you're watching from. Type your city in the comments below. It's amazing to see how stories travel across the world, connecting people from so many different places. Who knows? Maybe Bruno's heroism is inspiring someone right there in your hometown. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect. What makes a hero? Is it size, strength, or wealth? Or is it courage, loyalty, and the willingness to act for those we love, even when the odds seem impossible? Samuel, Rosa, and Bruno remind us that the greatest heroes often come in the smallest forms, and that love and bravery can change lives in ways we never expected. So, remember, your actions, no matter how small they seem, can make a world of difference. Protect those you care about, stay loyal to what you believe in, and never underestimate the power of courage, even in the most unlikely forms. Thank you for watching, thank you for being part of this story, and thank you for sharing a little bit of your heart with us today. I can't wait to read your comments, see where you're from, and share more incredible adventures with you soon. Until next time, keep courage in your heart, loyalty in your actions, and love guiding everything you do. And always remember, heroes can come in the most unexpected shapes, even a small, brave dog named Bruno